Hello everyone. Today I am going to give a lecture on fundamental rights of Indian Constitution. This lecture deals in detail with fundamental rights, articles 12 to 35 of the Indian Constitution. It also gives an insight of landmark case laws regarding fundamental rights. The Indian Constitution 1950 contains certain provisions which guarantee the basic human rights of all the citizens of India. There are 6 fundamental rights and they are immune from any kind of discrimination based on religion, race, gender, etc. These rights can be invoked by individuals if there is any violation of them. Fundamental rights are included in Part 3 of the Indian Constitution. It is also known as the Magna Carta of the Indian Constitution. Through this lecture, we will find out more about the fundamental rights enshrined in the Indian Constitution. Fundamental rights act as the foundation that upholds the democratic system and secularism in India. They establish the essential conditions for an individual's material and moral protection, ensuring social justice and equality. They also define the rights of minorities and other weaker sections of society. Fundamental rights also ensure individual liberty. These rights establish the rule of law, thereby keeping a check on the absoluteness of the government's authority. Another important feature of fundamental rights are doctrine of separability and doctrine of eclipse. Doctrine of separability are fundamental rights since it is enshrined in Article 13 subclass 1 of the Constitution, stating that all the laws implemented in India before the initiation of the Constitution shall continue to be in force. However, the extent to which they are in conflict with the fundamental rights will, to the degree of such irregularity, be wide. In simple terms, the entire law would not be held invalid or void. Only the part of the law which is inconsistent with the fundamental rights shall be held void or invalid. The doctrine of eclipse is applied when one provision of the law dominantly overshadows the other provision, and as the name suggests, this doctrine is employed when a law or an act disregards or is inconsistent with the fundamental rights, such as a law or act can be implemented once again if the limitations established by the fundamental rights are eliminated. Now we move on to the fundamental rights. Right to equality, Article 14 to 18. Article 14 says equality before the law. Article 14 considers all individuals the same in the eyes of the law. This article states that all citizens of India must be treated equally before the law. This said article further states that the law protects everybody equally under similar circumstances. The law must treat people in the same manner. Article 15 says prohibition of discrimination. This provision of the Indian Constitution prohibits discrimination of any kind based on the grounds of religion, race, place of birth, caste, gender. If any citizen is subjected to any disability, restriction, liability or condition with regard to public places, access, use of public properties such as tanks, ghats, wells, etc. that are maintained by the state or that are intended for the use of general public. The therefore mentioned article also states that special provisions can be created for women, children and the backward classes, notwithstanding this article. Article 16 says equal opportunity in case of public employment. This constitutional provision provides equal employment opportunities in state services for all citizens. In the case of public employment, no citizen must be discriminated against or appointed based on the grounds of religion, caste, race, gender, place of birth, residence or descendant. Exceptions to the said article can be made for providing special provisions for the backward classes. Article 17 says abolition of untouchability. The aforesaid article strictly prohibits the practice of untouchability. By virtue of this article, untouchability has been abolished in all forms. In case any disability or dispute arises due to untouchability, then it is considered an offence. Article 18 says abolition of titles. The said article abolishes titles. It states that the state shall not confer any titles. However, those titles which are academic or military in nature shall be allowed. The said article further prohibits the citizens of India from accepting any kind of titles from a foreign country, the titles that were awarded by the then British. Government such as Rai Bahadur, Khan Bahadur are also abolished by virtue of this article. Awards such as Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan, Bharat Ratna and military honours like Ashok Chakra, Paramveer Chakra shall not be considered under this category. Right to freedom. Article 19 and 20. The following articles of the Constitution deal with the fundamental right to freedom. Article 19 guarantees the following 6 freedoms. They are as follows. Article 19 subclass 1 says freedom of speech and expression. The provision guarantees freedom of speech and expression to every citizen of India. However, the law may impose restrictions on the scope of this freedom, considering the interest of the integrity, security and sovereignty of the country. The exceptions further include friendly relations with foreign nations, maintaining public order, regarding the incitement to an offence, defamation or contempt of court. Article 19 subclass 1 freedom to assemble. This provision guarantees each individual the freedom to assemble peacefully without arms. However, reasonable restrictions may be imposed considering the interest of the sovereignty and integrity of the country and to maintain public order. Article 19 subclass 1c says freedom to form associations or unions or cooperative societies. This provision allows the citizens of India to form associations, unions or cooperative societies, but with certain exemptions considering the integrity and security of the country and the maintenance of the public order. And Article 19 subclass 1d says freedom to move freely. This provision states that the citizens of India can move freely throughout the territory of India. However, this freedom may be restricted on the grounds of security, public order or for safeguarding the interest of the scheduled tribes. Article 19(1) subclass E says freedom of residence. This provision states that all the citizens of India have the right to reside in any part of the country. However, this freedom may be restricted on the grounds of security, public order or for safeguarding the interest of the scheduled tribes. Article 19(1)G says freedom of profession. This provision states that all citizens have the right to carry on any trade or profession or occupation provided that such trade or profession or occupation is not illegal or immoral. Also, the law doesn't prohibit the state from making laws related to technical or professional qualifications that are required for practicing the occupation or trade. Article 20 says protection of citizens in case of conviction for offences. This provision deals with the protection of citizens in respect of conviction for offences. It mentions 3 kinds of protections to the individual against the state. They are retrospective criminal legislation, double jeopardy and prohibition against self-incrimination. Article 21, right to life. This provision states that no individual must be deprived of his life and personal liberty by the state except as per the procedure laid down by law. Right to life doesn't mean merely living. It states that an individual must lead a dignified life. The said article has a very wide scope and its interpretation has been molded continuously over the decades. Article 21A says free education for children of 6 to 14 years of age. This provision was inserted in the Constitution by the 86th Constitution Amendment Act in 2002. It mentioned that the state must provide free and compulsory education to all children between the ages of 6 and 14.